This is Eric Rutan of Cannibal Corpse. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast with Andrew McKay Smith.
You've tuned into a conversation between myself and Opeth bassist and also the fella at the centre of White Stones, Martin Mendez. The catalyst for the chat is due to the release of White Stones' sophomore album. It's titled Dancing into Oblivion. If you're a fan of grooving, jazz-infused, prog-tinged death metal, it doesn't come better than this. So here he is, Martin Mendez, the bassist from Opeth and the fella at the centre of White Stones. How's the conversations been going for this album here?
Good. Yeah, very good, man.
I bet, yeah. Well, it is your sophomore album, and the band is White Stones. And I like the title, actually, Dancing into Oblivion, because I did read the presser, of course. And it's more or less, I think, a bit of a reaction in some ways to COVID-19, from what I understand there.
Well, the album is not about that, but during the writing process, the feelings I had in my body was, the pandemic. So that kind of reflects in the music, but it's not an album about the pandemic or the virus or something like that.
Right. So what were the lyrical themes you addressed this time around?
Well, this time I didn't write any no lyrics. That was Lloyd, the singer. With the first album, I was more involved in the lyrics, but this time it was him, and I think they're more like social, not politics, but more like like society.
Sure.
Kind of,
societal commentary and all of the things that are going on at the moment, which the last 2 years has been a very interesting time to be alive, to say the least, hasn't it?
Yeah, very much.
So, with the music side of things, because I'm a bassist too, and I can actually hear that you've written a lot of this on the bass, so I hope I'm right when I say that, because I've got a pretty fine ear for these things. But was there anything you were specifically trying to go for? Because I feel like as though I can definitely hear that there's a bit of a progression from the first album, which I thought was fantastic, by the way, and I just haven't lived with Dancing into Oblivion long enough yet to be able to say whether or not I think it's, and work with me here when I say it's a better album or not. I know it's a very subjective thing to say that there, but in terms of how far advanced your songwriting has gone. So on the music side of things, did you write with the bass?
Well, some things started with the bass, but usually I started with the guitars or thinking about a drum beat. But yes, it was some stuff has been started with the bass. Yes, it did.
Yeah, it sounds, part of it to me sounds like a Cannibal Corpse album, believe it or not, because you know how Alex Webster from Cannibal Corpse writes on the bass.
Yeah,
and you do too. So you've got that in common with Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah, maybe coincidence, but yes, can be. But I think the way I write on the guitar as well is not the most common guitarist kind of view. I think it has something to do that I'm a bassist, so I kind of think more like a bassist maybe when I write riffs. I don't know.
Yep. And you decided to record in Barcelona this time around, is that correct?
Yeah, same as the last album. Exactly the same process.
So is there a reason why you decided to record in Barcelona rather than Sweden?
Well, because I'm living in Barcelona. So
okay. That makes sense then. Makes complete sense.
It's much easier, yeah. And the studio I used for both albums actually is the singer's studio, Alois's studio. And he lives 10 minutes from me, so it was really, really comfy to do this way, because I just could walk in the morning to the studio, even during the pandemic and the lockdown time. So, yeah, it was very comfortable to work this way.
You've blended so many killer elements here. like you did the last time around. Actually, this is what I can hear you've done. You've done a bit more with Dancing into the Oblivion, and I always mispronounce the debut album. Is it Kurahei? Is that how I pronounce it? Kurahei. There you go.
Yeah.
Is that a Spanish word or something else?
No, it's a language that the ethnics, the Indians in Uruguay used to speak back in the day. It's called Guarani. It's a language that in Uruguay we don't speak it anymore, but I think it's in Paraguay. They still speak in this language. I think it's the only country in the world that speaks. So yeah, it's an old language.
Well, I guess that hints at another point that I wanted to make was that I just find Spanish musicians are experts, as you are here, at mixing together so many different styles. So what you've done is death metal, prog, jazz fusion, and rock. Do you think, I mean, I know you're at the centre of it and there might not be that much of an awareness of it. So say someone like myself has got, coming from the outside, being that I'm Australian and definitely very un-Spanish with my heritage. But do you feel it's just a very natural thing, given your Spanish heritage, to mix all of these things together and for it to come out so cohesive?
I don't know how to say. I mean, for me at least, yes, because I've been really into music from the beginning since I was a kid. You know, I didn't have a CD player until I was 17 years old, I think. So what I was listening to mostly until then, it was radio, and what we had over there, it was mostly tango and folk music from Uruguay or South America. So I grew up with that stuff, you know. So for me, at least, it helps a lot. It gives me a lot of influence from that. I don't know if it's a general rule to be Spanish to have all this, but for me at least, yes. Because as I say, I grew up with all kinds of music from there, and I like to reflect all the music I like to the album as well, to the music I write. And of course, it's death metal, a very important part of the style. But for sure, it is more stuff over there that influenced me at the time to write it.
What was it? I understand, and again, if I've got this wrong, please correct me. But I understand the majority of your band, if not all of your band, have a Spanish heritage as well. So was that something that was done by design, or is that simply just because you're living and working and recording in Barcelona?
Yeah, that's the only reason, because I was living here, so it's more easy to find people around to get for rehearsals or whatever it is. Yes, and I wanted to. They're friends of mine as well. So at the beginning, this project wasn't that serious, or I didn't have many expectations. So I wanted I want to have this with friends, you know, from the area to be more easy.
Well, you've unearthed a magnificent talent, and I understand, is it João Sassetti, your guitarist?
Yes.
Gosh, he reminds me so much of Paul Masvidal from Cynic in his soloing.
He's an amazing guitar player, yeah. And João, unfortunately, he could only record the solos because he's Portuguese. He's living in Portugal now. And he couldn't fly to Barcelona for the recording process because of the pandemic. It wasn't on the time that he couldn't fly. But he did the solos. He did an amazing job. And yes, hopefully next album, he will be involved in the other guitars as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the first things that jumped out at me, and I didn't realise that I had your album on shuffle. So I thought I was listening to the second or the third song, so I can't tell you which song I was listening to. But one of the solos was just all-time epic. It was totally, as I say, it was Jason Becker meets J.K. Lee meets Paul Masvidal. And for the musicians out there like myself who have a keen ear for these sort of things, more is definitely more.
Yeah, no, he's definitely a very, very good guitar player, and he loves the 80s, all these kind of guitar players. So yeah, he's amazing. He brings a lot to the album, I think, too.
Yeah. So when you were assembling the band, this time around for the album? Were they the same? Was it the same personnel that carried over?
Yeah, I was. This album I have the Joao for the first time, and I have a new drummer as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I was looking for these people. Because they had to know how to play all the stuff, just not metal, And these guys are fits perfect for this style. Yeah.
And what about yourself with the bass guitar side of things? Did you use your Sandberg bass for the recording?
Yes. For the whole album, it's the same. Yeah.
What draws you to that? Yeah, what draws you to that bass?
It's I've been when they asked me to do a signature with Sandberg, I went to the factory with them for a few days, and we decide all the specs for the bass. And then I really love this instrument, and it fits so well for me, at least, and the shape and the wood and everything, and I love it. I love the sound. It's very versatile. You can really have a really kind of jazzy sound to a more modern metal, and and I think it's really great, and I'm really happy to have it.
It sounds killer, man. So was that put through like a Sans amp, or what preamp were you using?
I record with a dark glass amplifier.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much it, because I didn't use much for the bass, just the DI and the amplifier. And the sound you hear on the record is pretty much the amplifier sound. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. It's a very natural sound.
Yeah, it captures your fingerstyle bass playing beautifully, because I play fingerstyle as well, and I know it's not always easy to capture that, because it's such a there's no attack really, is there? It's a very round sound, and oftentimes it can sort of bleed and become a very I don't know how else to say it, but a wide signal, and you don't get a lot of the characteristics of your playing. But I think you've captured that beautifully. So did you obviously did all the production alongside of the singer as well, I take it?
Yeah, it was mostly me doing the production. Yes.
Were there a lot
about the bass? Sorry, about the bass. I did record 2 songs with a pick as well, so maybe you have this more bright kind of tone on it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Where do you stand on that? The plectrum or pick versus fingerstyle, because you're a very capable fingerstyle bass player.
Yes.
So do you?
Yeah, but.
Yeah. You're not against using a pick, obviously.
Yeah, but actually, with the first album, Guarahi, that was the first time I ever used a pick on a recording. I think I used half of the album is done with a pick from the first album. And I think I just thought that the sound fit better for those songs. But for this last album, I think it's only 1 or maybe 2 songs with a pick, but the rest is all fingerstyle.
I think for people who aren't musicians, it might be difficult for them to get their head around that playing the pick on the bass compared to playing with your fingers, it's almost 2 different instruments in so many ways, because the rhythmic approach changes so drastically. And I find it, I'll ask you this question because I know how I find it. Do you find it more difficult to play with a pick than with your fingers?
Well, at the beginning, I found it more difficult because I wasn't that. I didn't used to do it that much, but I always been playing guitar as well with the pick, so I kind of have the technique, but on the bass it's a bit different. But yeah, at the beginning it was a bit harder maybe, but yeah, I think I got it pretty right away, confident with the pick as well.
Yeah, it took me months, I got to say, to actually perfect that, especially live, because it's louder, I find. And as I say, it doesn't have that bassy flat tone that I tend to like personally. But it's an interesting concept, I think, for a lot of people who don't play music to actually play the bass to get their head around. And look, you're an expert bass player, but there are a lot of guitarists that tend to pick up the bass guitar and play it with a pick, and they just sound like a guitarist playing the bass as opposed to a bassist playing the bass.
Yeah, but for me it's more like a kind of sound that I want to reach, and sometimes with the fingers you cannot get that kind of metallic bright on the top. I don't know how to explain, but yeah, you get a good epic.
Yeah. Is it any more stressful, or how different is it for you to run a band, given that you're the fella at the centre of White Stones, compared to being a member of Opeth?
Well, it's not stressful. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time and a lot of energy. But this is something that I want to do and I need to do. That's why I'm doing this, because it's not. I'm working with Opeth and I had enough with that. I'm playing wise and everything, but this is something I realized for a few years ago, that I need to do something on the side, and I need to express myself in this way 100%. And this makes me feel good, and it's better for me here and for me with Opeth and everything, because I feel better doing this stuff. And as I say, I kind of realized it a few years ago that I have to do stuff on the side, because I always been writing music, but I never kind of done it proper in this way, So this is something. It's like a therapy or something like that. And it's really, really interesting, and I love the process. So it's not a kind of a pain in the ass to do this at all. It's really enjoyable to do this, but it takes a lot of energy and time. Yeah.
Okay, that's an important point, because it sounds to me, given your creativity. Okay, so you've released 2 albums within 12 months or thereabouts. It sounds like as though it might be a bit difficult for you to get your music heard within Opeth. Is that the case?
Yes, of course. I mean, in Opeth, I'm the bass player, and I can kind of put out my ideas on the bass, but that's pretty much it, which is fine, and I love to do it. But at the same time, on the other hand, I mean, as I say, I think I have this need to compose more than just one instrument, because it's something that I like, and I think I can do it. So yeah, it's different, but it's different. But I really enjoy both positions, for real.
Yes. Okay. So has it ever? I hope I can ask this question, by the way. But has it ever come to a point where you've been a bit frustrated in Opeth that your ideas don't get heard within the band?
No, not at all. Absolutely not. As I say, I'm very glad with Opeth, with what we done and the way we took with the band, and I love it. It's a challenge every time we do a record, and I never miss play. People think I miss playing more extreme metal, but that's not true, because when I'm on tour with Opeth, we're playing all those heavy songs every night. I'm playing Deliverance and those songs every night. So I get my death metal kind of dose, every night. So it's not like that. It's just, as I say, something personal, that's something I need to do and I want to do, because something different completely with Opeth.
I think I'm right in saying this, but you must be the only bass player in an extreme metal band, if I could still call Opeth that's played the Sydney Opera House. What was that experience like?
Yeah. Well, that was one of those experiences I will never forget in my life, for sure. Such a beautiful place, such an honor to play in a place like that. When you do those kind of things, you feel very proud to choose what you choose to do when you were young, and this is kind of a proof, that you've been doing something right, I guess, and
for sure.
At least I like to think that way, but it feels really nice, for sure.
To say the least, yeah. I was excited for you guys, I've got to say, from the perspective that, okay, it's great to see a rock or a heavy metal band playing at the Opera House, because There's been quite a few contemporary acts down there. Like I think Daniel Johns from Silverchair has done some stuff there. But when I saw Opeth there, and of course I missed out on tickets because they sold out. You're probably aware of this, but the tickets sold out in like 5 minutes or something, or 10 minutes. They were just gone.
Yeah, that was fast. Yeah. But you didn't have the chance to go.
Sorry, I no doubt you said something very profound there, but it literally cut out as soon as you answered the question. Would you mind repeating it?
No, I just asking you if you had the chance to go at the end or not.
Oh no, sorry. I wanted to go. Yeah, I definitely. Okay. It was. Right. I live north of Sydney, but I saw that the tickets were there, and of course, I mean, I didn't know when they were going on sale because I didn't check. To be honest with you, I just knew that you guys were playing, and I think I looked the day after and was hoping to pick up, some tickets on even what's that bloody awful site, Viagogo, whatever it is, $600 or whatever. But I would have paid it, to be honest with you, to see you guys down there.
Wow, I will never pay that money either.
Yeah, well, look, to be honest with you, it's once in a lifetime. You either have the memory or you don't. And the people that went had the memory, so that's a wonderful thing for them, I suppose. But you guys will come back. I've spoken to Frederick enough to know that you guys are happy to perform in Australia, and we tend to be a strong territory for you guys. So I know you guys will be back sometime in the near future. Yeah,
we will for sure.
Hey, mate, I'll make this my final question for you because, look, you mentioned Uruguay already, and, look, I understand that you moved from Uruguay with your mate Martin Lopez, former Opeth drummer, as a teenager. Yeah. You were both teenagers. So that's a heck of a journey for a young fella to go on from Uruguay to one of the biggest heavy metal bands of all time, and I believe I can say that's certainly one of the biggest extreme metal bands of all time. Was it even a possibility, or did you think it could even be possible way back then that a long career as a bassist in this universally beloved band could be on the horizon?
No, really. I moved to Sweden with intention of playing music. That was the only reason, metal to be more specific. But then, my fantasy went never that far. My fantasy was more, my dream was to just play in a band, release an album, or something like that. I didn't think longer than that. But when I started with Opeth didn't do much at the time either. So I think when I joined the band, we were doing nothing for 2 years maybe. So I don't know. Everything went so natural, so it's so slow as well, So I never got that shock, It's like I kind of grew up with it. But as I say, my intentions were I'll never I want to be a rock star and do that. I could never imagine to do what I'm doing now back then.
Yeah, actually, I said that was my last question, but I'll make this my last one. If you could pick a career highlight, what do you think it would be so far?
With Opeth, with the highlight.
Oh, anything, even with White Stones. What do you think has been the accomplishment that you're most proud of? There you go.
I mean, just been doing what I love to do. That's the best of everything. That we can still doing what we love in life and maintain my family of it is amazing. I've been having lots of other jobs in the past, and once we start living on the music, you really appreciate life in that way because it's a hard thing to do, and I'm really happy that it went this way.
It's always great to see a career bass player succeed. You know that? It's always great to see someone like yourself actually doing it and being able to make a living from it, because you are literally one in 10 million to be able to do that.
Yeah, I know. It's a tough work for this and business, but as I say, I'm really grateful and I was trying my best for that too, because I think I have I need to be as good as I can, because I feel chosen in this way, you know. Yeah.
Well, I think the gods have smiled on a worthy individual there, Martin. So thank you so much for the conversation there. I enjoyed it a lot. And look, congratulations on your career, and importantly, mate, this album here. You know, look, Opeth is one thing, but it's another thing to step outside of the main gig, so to speak, and do something as important as what you're doing here with White Stones. So Dancing into Oblivion is an album that will be on it is already in my top 5 of the year so far, so it's going to be in my top 10 at the end of the year without a doubt. So congratulations on crafting such an epic album.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you, for real.
No worries at all, mate. All right, well, good luck with everything, mate, and hopefully see you down here again real soon.
Yeah, hopefully, man. Take care. Thank you so much.
Okay, catch ya.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning into that chat with Martin Mendez from White Stones and Opeth. If you enjoyed it, there are many more over at scarsandguitars.com. Just click on the podcast link and search via the Whooshka widget. Well over 550 conversations from the leading lights of hard rock, heavy metal, extreme metal, and beyond. If you could like, subscribe, and share, I'd appreciate that. But even better, if you could leave a comment, that'd be awesome. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and I'm the host of the Scars and Guitars podcast series. It's goodbye for now.